Yes, 10 4.
Hey, we're down there, Judge. 10 a minute.
10.
Well, as soon as I go live, the scanner gets super quiet. But I'm here. I'm just listening to the scanner. My sister is stupid close to this active shooter in Kentucky, so that's why I'm late. That's why I'm so late. That I'm listening to the scanner in the background. If you hear it go off. I've been trying to keep up updates and text her and give her advice and stuff that's going on. But yeah, it's we're listening for something. We'll watch some news stories or something. Let me get my camera slid in here and share this post everywhere. You have to give me a second. You almost had it, Narc.
Have him call me.
So there's an active shooter in Kentucky. Near London, Kentucky. He shot from an elevated position at the Woodline onto the Interstate 75. 5 people required medical attention, all in stable condition. 2 were also wounded, like not from gunshots, but the crashes that were involved, and they didn't need immediate medical attention, so no one's dead. The guy apparently bought an AR-15 and 2,000 rounds. I don't know where they found this out, but he bought an AR-15 and 2,000 rounds of ammo this morning. His sister or sister-in-law called into the police station and said he said he's going to kill us all.
11:45.
People are dissecting his social media, but she's like stupid close to this.
Call from 4120 Green Lawn Road. Car advisor neighbor sent a male on a bicycle traveling down Highway 30. Male had a gun on his back, unknown what type of gun or clothing description. Male was traveling toward London on 30.
On 30, Highway 30.
Can I sit in the area?
23 feet.
11:34 to Seals.
34.
Sorry, I'm looking at the map right quick.
Yeah, I'm 10 4. Oklahoma, we're here. I'm going to be 98 here, just in the area. Okay. So, yeah, we're 10 4 here as well. 10 4.
Okay, I see 30. Hold on, let me take my sister right quick. Headed towards London with gun strapped on his back.
45.
Alright. Anyways, this is
Male's wearing a gray hoodie, blue jeans. Nothing. Gun had a strap on it. Strap around his back. Not sure what type of pistol or what type of gun it was.
10 4. Thank you. No, for sure. Manchester PD, next 104, out with the 5th of the booth. Let's get unloaded.
there's conflicting
45 on 30.
there's conflicting reports coming in. I don't
2350. Yeah.
11:35 London. We did a walk around the house here for the people. There's no one around like that. We told them to call us back if they hear anything else. 98.
2350 right, 902.
there's conflicting reports.
802.
So it said like it was a setup from, like he was at an elevated position. He was shooting on people randomly. But then the local news reported that it was an altercation between two cars
Also in my house.
that led to people getting shot, which is strange. Yeah, but I'll tell you my story in just a second as soon as I quiet down.
I'll be out here with your mail, 30 and 1394.
94, 2356.
So my sister was actually missed the shooting by like 5 minutes. They had just drove past that exit, and they thought originally that he had fled to this like ATV park, which is not far off the interstate. And they were actually planning on going to that ATV park. They're actually planning on going to that ATV park today, and got a late start to their day. Didn't really feel like it was kind of a cooler morning, so they decided they're going to go tomorrow instead. So they like missed it like twice. But now there's where he's like on the run and hasn't been caught. There's like reports coming in all over the area. Some of them like as far as like 40, 45 minutes away from each other saying shots fired. Everybody's reporting every loud noise as if it's gunshots, and the cops are running all over the place looking for this guy. But his name is Joe Couch. The Q-tards have already claimed it's a false flag. People are posting about the local news apparently said that it was maybe an altercation that happened. Here it is. The school shooting didn't move the needle, so let's get a guy who buys an AR-15 plus 2,000 rounds of ammo this morning to shoot up a small rural town. The part that will make me mad is the politicians and media who will try to tell me this wasn't staged. So the Q-tards have already called it a false flag. But I've been trying to keep my sister updated on what's going on. I mean, she can listen to the scanner too. I just feel like kind of like I'm being there for her if I can't.
It's okay, it's that prowler complaint on the Loveless subdivision on the way back in.
Joseph A. Couch, age 32, is wanted in connection to the active shooter in London, Kentucky on I-75 and Kentucky 909. The shooting left several injured. He's 5'10", 154. Prior military experience. He also claims to be a former dispatcher for 911 and bought an AR gun this morning with 2,000 rounds. If you see him or know his whereabouts, please call 911. Laurel County Sheriff's at. This is from the Greater Grand Rapids Scanner Calls page, I guess.
1145.
45.
90, that subject, juvenile, carrying back, the 11 circuit backpack, no weapons, B98.
Damn, that wasn't him. All right.
Copy that.
It was a Juva with a backpack.
See him, 6-1.
Anyways, it's super hard to understand the scanner lingo most of the times, but there you go. They're like, my sister's like some of the shots fired calls were literally like a couple miles from her house. And local people were hyping it up.
I traveled 34, I'm 98 out here, supposed to home, and I'll be in the area and just extra patrol.
Local people to her were hyping it up. It may just be the...
For which address, Hill 6?
Other than that, it was 2455 Laurel Lake Road North.
The loadable.
It may have just been the shooting on the interstate that happened, but local people were basically saying like he was going through neighborhoods and shooting people, that he may or may not have made a Facebook post that a lot of people were going to die today, or he was going to get even with a lot of people. So we've been trying to keep up with it. We'll go to the governor made a statement, or the mayor or somebody. We'll go to that, and then I'll quiet the thing for a minute. the scanner app. Let me open it up so I can mute it for a second. Broadcastify. I'll pull it over here out of the way. And then let's mute it for just a second, and then we'll go back to it. But here is London mayor. Oh, we'll probably get an ad. Hold on. But yeah, it's like crazy close. They just drove through there.
Amelia Lee is live in London with Mayor Randall Weddle. Amelia?
Thank you, Madison. Yes, I am in City Hall in London. I'm with Mayor Randall Weddle. Mayor, what can you tell us right now about what's going on with the situation?
Currently, they do have an individual that they are looking for, Joseph Couch. We do know that that is a person that's involved. They located the vehicle there, so that's what they were able to get the name from that.
Okay, so right now, I know people in the public, they're worried. What can people do right now? What should people know?
All the ones I saw was an old Facebook account legend, and people were saying he bought an AR today, and then they were showing this tweet that said, I got 2 new toys today, one shiny and one goes boom. But that was from 2016. He was also making threats about people that worked at his, that were his coworkers, saying, say it to my face kind of deal. His sister-in-law did call in earlier and said that that he was aiming to kill the family and they were all in hiding or something.
At this point.
Currently, we're asking everybody in London and Laurel County to stay home. If you don't need to be out, don't be out. And they're safe. We have multiple agencies that's currently here. Manchester PD sent some units over, and plus the city police is still out full force in the city. So they are safe. I want them to know that. But we want people to be vigilant, be aware of their surroundings, and understand this guy has still not been apprehended. So we want individuals to be vigilant if they have to be out tonight.
Okay.
I gave my sister some tips that I could think of just stuff that I've been through and training I've been to, and stay away from the fucking walls. Bullets follow walls. If it gets there, don't open the door for anybody. Yell from another room, out of straight line of sight of the door. If somebody knocks on your door, don't look out the window for no fucking reason, no matter what you hear out the window. All of you sleep in the same room. Maybe if you got to get your kid on the floor in a bed, keep a flashlight. It's nighttime now. His eyes are probably adjusted. If he's still wandering around, they're adjusted to night. Keep a flashlight as well as a gun. I don't know. I wish I was closer to help, but I don't really know what to do except give her advice.
So you're saying if people are out, they could go home or just not go on the roads tonight if they don't have to in this area?
I'm urging individuals and folks in the community to stay home. Just stay home for tonight.
Yeah. What would you?
We personally, I know this was used in the Bin Laden raid. We personally would yell all kinds of random shit in their native tongue, help or hey or look here, shit like that. Get the interpreter, yell shit to get people to pop their heads up. There's no way with an active shooter on the loose that anybody could get me to come to my fucking window. There's no goddamn way. Yeah, if you're injured, I might take you in. You're probably stripping naked, but like you could feign injury to get somebody to open their door. You know what I mean? Fucking kill them or hold them hostage or just hang out there until the fucking police efforts die down.
Would you like to say to any, officers who are on the ground right now trying to help out with the situation?
I've been telling all of my guys and all the first responders that's been giving me
I don't even believe that. I just don't even believe that. Greg Locke has made up too much stuff. He's like the boy who cried wolf.
We are truly blessed as a community to have such a great law enforcement group here, but just not them. The EMS service, the rescue squad, the fire department, Kentucky State Police, the FBI, everybody involved has done a tremendous job tonight, and I'm confident we're going to get a good end in this tonight. We're asking the community to pray that all of our first responders come home safely tonight.
So at this point, again, what should people do to stay safe tonight in the Laurel County, London area?
Be vigilant, and if you see Joseph Couch, then call the 911 and units will come. But be vigilant and just stay home. That's the best way to be safe tonight, is just to stay home and be vigilant even there.
Yeah. Do we know anything about traffic going by? I was right off I-75 just a bit earlier, and it looked pretty standstill at the point that I was at. Do we know anything about that?
The traffic.
Like if tomorrow it come out that he told one of his patrons of his church to go shoot up his fucking house, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly what I figured would happen.
It is moving. It's been diverted. But of course, when the shooting started happening, there were wrecks involved. So, of course, they have to do reconstruction because shots were fired. So there might be some time that the I-75 is going to be shut down. I don't have a time frame.
I-75 is back open.
As we get that information.
Yeah, one last time, just any final words that you have for the public, the community here in Laurel County.
The biggest message, stay home and pray for our first responders.
Exactly. You heard that here. I'm with Mayor Weddle again in Laurel County. Amelia Lee, WYMT, Mountain News.
So anyways, the conflicting reports, before we turn the scanner back on, the conflicting reports were that he was like at the woodline. At first, it was that he's an overpass. And I think people made that up because they said he fired from an elevated position. And then it was like, oh, well, you know, a lot of times there's like hills on both sides, that he fired from like the wood line. And then there was a conflicting report that said it had something to do with an incident involving road rage. Like maybe there's an altercation between two vehicles and that led to the shooting, which wouldn't make sense that he was firing from the wood line or an overpass or anywhere else. A road rage incident where he just shoots the people in the other car and then runs away is a lot different than like active shooter running around trying to gun down people with 2,000 rounds of ammo. You know what I mean? So it's hard to tell, but we'll go back to the scanner now. He does seem pretty calm. Or you think it's a false flag now? There's a lot of stuff going on about...
171. 98, 1488 Blackwater. That's right. Okay.
Well, they kind of have a perimeter, so that they think... I'm thinking he fled eastbound because there's still a bunch of roads shut down, so like 30... 25, 30, 94, they're all still shut down. And that kind of makes a big triangle where they're at. And they're taking reports. So I think they think he fled that way. But if you hopped in another car, he's already gone. It all seems that the only good thing is some of the reports of shots are close to where my sister lives. The only good thing is it's on the other all of them seem to be on the other side of the interstate. Not back across 75 towards the side that she's on. We'll pull up Google Maps. Hold on. I don't know if I have traffic when it's not on my phone, but we'll check it out. Not 4090, just London, Kentucky. Oh, let's see. So if we go down to... There's a lot of stop traffic. What's that for? Is that a road closure? Oh, no, I guess that's some type of... let's see, where are we at? Sorry, I'm looking at road names now. This is Interstate 75. Where did it originally zoom in at? Okay, London, Kentucky. What was that? Oh, Warzone Paintball. That's London, London.
London.
Yeah.
All right, so this was what, an exit up? This is Laurel County. The Laurel County shooting happened here. There was also a tow truck driver that was requesting like tactical assistance for his to pick up some cars. So here's Carmichael Church. This is one of the corners of kind of the roads that got blocked off. So basically this big triangle here is all shut down and it extends past the triangle. Like every leg extends farther. But definitely this big triangle here is shut down. From Carmichael Church.
1143
The juvenile they just detained because they thought it was a man walking with a firearm was coming down this road here. So this big triangle's all cordoned off. 75's back now open, but it kept extending. There was one on there was one out here. There's a report on, what was it called? Blackwater Road, I think. Somebody said there was somebody shooting in their field. There's just been so many different reports coming through. And it heightened heightened security time like this, or I guess when people are more aware or scared or whatever, they report fucking everything. And no one really thinks like, you know, you see something, you say something, right? But no one really thinks how, like, was that a gunshot? Was it not a gunshot? My neighbor's truck backfires this time every evening. Maybe I should report it anyways. But that sometimes that can hurt the investigation, right? It's easier to see on your phone because it's got the traffic. I don't think it'll have. This is public transit. I don't think that helps any. East Carmichael Church was definitely one of the. I don't want train stations. It was definitely one of the corners of the place. .3094. There was Blackwater Road. There was just a bunch of it. This whole triangle's blocked off, and that extends. But everything so far has been to the east of 75. She lives on the west of 75. Been a bunch of stuff through here. Let's see what Twitter's got. We'll refresh it. There was mass shootings before 1990.
County around Mountain.
Let's see what that call and response is. Hold on. A fucking repeater going off. I don't know what for, but there's a repeater.
Go ahead.
6679. Car thanks to police trying to get her vehicle within the last 5 minutes. The lights are on inside of it. She's requesting unit ATL around the red unit. She's not requesting contact.
Okay.
0011.
Sorry, I was still trying. I was hoping they were going to call back, call and response. Police launch manhunt after multiple people. There's the guy, James A. Couch. He does have an older Facebook. I haven't seen an updated Facebook. All the posts they keep showing, Facebook posts about him, are like dated like 2016. So there's the false flag post. Livingston, London. Voluntary past responsible gunship. This violence is heartbreaking. Here he is. Here's a bunch of his Facebook picture posts. There's one. There he is in a younger photo. Maybe that's older. It looks younger. Then this one, I don't know what this was. Did he play a zombie in a play or some shit? I don't know. Halloween. I have no idea. And then a very, very young photo. I think they got his high school too. Somebody put that down. Breaking multiple people shot by sniper on interstate in Kentucky. 75 to close down was a big deal. Actually,
48 response 715 Roosevelt Street, 715 Roosevelt Street. Take East 4th Street down to Tobacco Road, turn left on Tobacco Road. Second entrance on the right on server on Roosevelt. Break.
Like they have a decent idea where he is. People are talking about helicopter.
Nosebleed. Bleeding for 40 minutes, can't get stopped.
a nosebleed.
Nosebleeds. Should be a black Jeep.
Oh, you're in Lexington? Stay safe.
Beside the house. Right run over time.
Good.
Running we're 8499, 8499. Dash 0011 and route 0013.
10.
Numerous people shot in Kentucky near Interstate 75. Officials say City of London, Mayor Randall. Okay, that's the video we just watched. He confirmed that. I don't know. He could be gone. He could have fucking wandered off somewhere and already shot himself. It's hard to tell. There haven't been any. I don't think there's been any since I've been listening to the scanner. Like no confirmed. Like this is your guy. I saw him with a gun. He ran across the road and back into the woods. I haven't seen any of that. I don't think anybody's seen him, positively identified him since the shooting. So here we are. Shooter opens fire, Marshall County High School in Kentucky. Oh, these are older ones, even though I went on the latest. Yeah, I don't think we have much of an update yet. But like he could have hopped in a car, he could have taken off, he could be gone. I don't think anybody, like I said, has positively ID'd him since everything happened. And I'm assuming if it's a road rage incident, there had to be somebody with him or he left a vehicle. I know that the tow truck driver, which he could have been moving victims' cars, the tow truck driver was like, hey, I need a response team with me. I'm not going out there and just hooking up to a fucking car. He also did, he claims that he has military background, from the Army.
1916.
And that he was possibly a 911 dispatcher at one time?
Where did they take that individual to? We've got his back shut up.
He's right here in front of the 911.
10-4, we're going to go ahead and escort her up there.
I mean, the best I can do right now is a scanner, but it doesn't seem like much has happened so far. They might not find him for weeks. You know what I mean? He might have fucking blew his brains out. He might have hopped in a car and drove away. He might have been hiding the whole time, and no one's really actually seeing him. But it seems like there's a pretty big presence looking for him currently.
14, 1138. We checked Scholar's property. We met with 98 prior to our arrival. It'll be 98.
No, 15.
38.
Sorry, I just closed the window. I want it open. There we go. Let's do this. I'd like to hear some more first-hand shit about how it started. 5 people were injured in a shooting on Interstate 75 near London, Kentucky, Saturday evening, and more were hurt in a minor traffic crash caused by the shooting. See, that's what I think actually happened. I think the mayor might have it wrong. Like, the shooting caused the accident. At least what I heard originally from elevated position and shit. It doesn't seem like it would be a road rage or even a traffic accident than shooting. Said no one died in the incident, which closed the interstate for nearly 3 hours before it reopened. The shooter has not been caught, fired shots at I-75 from the edge of a wooded area next to the highway. That doesn't sound like they got into a fucking fender bender and then he ran over, he runs to the edge of the wood line and then opens fire. He retrieves it from his trunk or his back seat or whatever, runs over to the woods line, lays down and starts shooting back at 75. That doesn't make sense. This is a time that we come together as a community. We just learned that it's important to love one another, not use violence to express ourselves like this individual has done tonight. Weedle said, "It's a strong community, and I know that we will get through this, and we'll get through this together." He said on Kentucky Sports Radio that the shooting did not appear to be random. Some victims were taken to St. Joseph London Hospital. The 3 who suffered head and face trauma were flown off the scene for treatment elsewhere. Weddle said he was not able to confirm whether those victims were taken. It did say, the police did say they were all, or a release from the media did say they were all in stable condition. Lord County Sheriff's Department has identified 32-year-old Joseph A. Couch as a person of interest in the shooting in a social media post. The agency has asked anyone from with information whereabouts suspect to call London Laurel County 911 Center. In a Facebook post around 9:30 p.m., the Laurel County Sheriff's Office posted the interstate had been reopened at both ends, both the north and southbound direction. As the search for the suspect continued, There are an estimated 4 to 6 victims. Kentucky State Police spokesman Scotty Pennington told the Courier Journal around 7:40 p.m. he didn't have additional information. Officials are still working on a very active scene, Pennington said. The shootings on social media, they posted the shootings on social media at 6:36 p.m. We have no clue where he is at. He said about investigators' progress of tracking down the suspect. Shutdown was near exit 49, U.S. Route 25, about 9 miles north of London. According to officials, Laurel County is about 90 miles south of Lexington in eastern Kentucky. It is a population of 62,000 and includes part of the Daniel Boone National Forest. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, Governor Andy Beshear said he, alongside the Kentucky State Police and the Office of Homeland Security, are actively monitoring the situation, offering support in any way possible. Laurel County Sheriff's Office is leading the investigation with assistance from several other law enforcement agencies, including Kentucky State Police, Pennington said. Beshear in Austin, speaking at the Texas Democratic Party's annual dinner Saturday night, referenced the shooting in his remarks. We are still praying for the safe recovery of everyone, he said, adding that Americans should not have to live in fear of being shot crossing bridges and overpasses. We must do better. He even mentioned overpasses there. How do they know who he is if he sniped people? I'm not sure. That's the confusing part. They identified him super quick if he was just a random shooter that escaped.
48.
But if it was a traffic incident and somebody in his car or somebody in the car he hit or somebody knew him, he exchanged information, whatever, why does he run to the wood line to start firing back at? They wouldn't notice him running away and laying down with a gun to shoot at people? Or maybe he shot one person, then fled to the wood line, started shooting more people. I don't know.
Down here, 909.
Hello, sir. 802.
Put up guard towers. It's pretty crazy right now. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of information about it.
Dispatch 802.
Go ahead.
Sister-in-law apparently called the police and said
Dispatch police.
he's planning on killing his whole family. NPR.
9798 on that extra patrol on Marines Line.
Nothing new in that article. New York Times. Mayor said we are searching for suspect or suspects in rugged terrain in northern part of Laurel County. Helicopters, infrared scanners are being used to search for the gunman in the woods. Person of interest had been widely identified and asked for the public for any information for his whereabouts.
Go ahead.
Suspicious person, 2515 Highway 1394. In elementary school. Wearing a red and white jacket, bald-headed. Car by himself standing in the ditch, just staring at him. I was called, pulled off there at the school. Boswell had his arms right beside of his coat. But
they also surrounded and locked down a truck stop earlier near the interstate. That was the 49er or something like that. Oh, let's see. Still looking. Some rugged terrain, a lot of trees, but I'm very confident we'll apprehend him. Do not attempt to approach is how the agency warned people about the man. They deliberately avoid calling a suspect and only called him a person of interest.
Metro 47 OL, District 49.
He also warned people in London, be vigilant.
Lincoln 0 George 299. Lincoln 0 George 299. Metro OL.
Go ahead.
Boy 05 240 780. 240 780.
So they deliberately didn't call him the suspect. They're calling him a person of interest. Maybe that's because the confusion about the traffic accident. Oh yeah, I got attacked by. I got another story to tell you guys.
Stars 131.25. Everything's 10 line to it.
It's almost story time, chat. I'm looking for any source on he left his vehicle behind. Wasn't that crazy? Dude, I was standing I was up there digging that hole, and I just got out, and I was using like a water hose to wash my hands, and I heard a cicada. Like, cicadas are loud as fuck when they fly. I heard a cicada, and I looked up, and as soon as I looked up, something hit this cicada out of the air, knocked it probably 7 or 8 feet into a tree. And then the cicada goes flopping on the ground. And I'm like, well, that was fucking weird. And it kind of rolls down a bank, and it buzzed for a little bit, and it'll flop for a little bit, buzz for a little bit, but it didn't get off the ground.
1135 1010 London.
Then the guy told me it's a hornet that specifically hunts cicadas and lays its offspring in it or some shit. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy fight, but no, that's not it. I got attacked by a fucking dog today. Let me first of all, I'll show you the cicada video because everybody's probably asking what the fuck's he talking about. This hornet fucked up this cicada, and the guy in the chat was like, oh, that's a cicada killing hornet or some shit. I've been in pest control my whole life. Look at this.
What the fuck?
See them fighting?
Could they be mating / fighting? Who's winning? Oh, I guess he is. Oh shit.
I guess he won. And then he tried to attack my ass, dude.
Bro.
Like, as soon as I couldn't get it on camera, but I was zoomed in to get this close of a shot. But like, as soon as it fucks up this cicada, it comes right up to like eye level, and it's just fucking like hovering, like staring at me. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. You win. I don't want to. I want to fight. This motherfucker was big, dude. It was a hornet like that fucking big. And then someone in the chat said that's a cicada killer hornet. The females take cicadas into their found nest to feed their larvae. And I was like, for real? That's interesting. I just saw it knock it out of the sky. And he's like, yeah, man, I've been in pest control for like 26 years. That's exactly what it is. And I was like, cool, I want to look it up now. But then I kind of got sidetracked. But then today, so we had a camper at the campground. Okay, we had a camper at the campground, And this camper's been really cool. He hollered at me the other day. He saw me working on the water, like digging the hole, looking for the leak. And he offered me a beer. He's like, "Are you off work yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just finished." He's like, "Here, have a beer or whatever." I took it. I didn't drink it, but I took it. But he seemed like a really cool guy. He was there with what I thought was his wife, but it seems like maybe they're not on the up and up right now. Maybe they're kind of separated, but not officially. Anyways, he was there with a woman his age. So today I'm walking by, and my boss is kind of close to me. And my boss says, "Hey, are you guys having a problem?" Because it looked like he was like working on his like septic or something. She's like, "Hey, are you having a problem?" And he's like, "No, not really. We got everything going. But do you have any of those tablets like you put in the toilet, right? If you've ever been in a camper, there's like these tablets that cut down on smell. They help dissolve toilet paper. They do all that stuff. And a lot of people, they're called, I think the brand is like TST or something like that. They're little orange. They almost look like Tide Pods. You throw them in there. It's the same thing for a septic tank, right? There's like septic tank treatments like that. But there's one specifically made for a camper. And she said, "No, we don't have those, but we have the ones, we have like these organic ones that have like microorganisms or whatever to break down like septic waste. We have those, and I can get you one of those." And she asked me, she's like, "You think it would work in the camper?" I was like, "Well, it can't hurt it, right? They're septic safe. They got to be camper safe." And it would, I don't know if it'd cut down much on the smell, if it's smelly, if that's your problem, but it would definitely help like break down toilet paper and waste and shit. That's what they do. And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll grab him one." So we both walk to the office, okay? And we both walk into the office, and she's looking for him for a minute, and then the person working in the office comes over and helps her find him or whatever, and she gets him out, and I was like, "I'll take it to him." So I get the little pod thing, and I've got it in my left hand, and I walk out to their camper, and basically I walk, so there's like the camper set up, and then their truck's there, but they're not hooked up. There's probably like 8 feet in between them. So I walk in between the truck and the camper and come around the right side of the camper. When I do, he's inside. The man that asked me for it is inside, but his wife has been standing there the whole time, right? She heard the conversation. She saw me give the advice. She saw the boss say we'd bring him one. So she's standing there kind of like near like they got like a outdoor chairs and table set up. Well, I was like, as soon as I saw her, she looked up and she's like, "Hey." And I was like, "Here are the ones we use." And I went to hand it to her. I was like, "Here's the one we use. They're like organic. I don't know." I was trying to explain to her, I don't know if it'll help. If the problem is it smells, I don't know if that'll help. But if the problem's like, hey, we don't want it to like clog or whatever, this will definitely help. That's what I was trying to explain to her. But about that time, a dog behind her on a cable starts growling, okay? And in my head, I was just thinking, oh, no one would bring a dog that like fucking attacks people that get too close out to like a campground. It's probably just like one of those dogs that like barks too much or whatever. Hell no. So she says the dog's name. I can't even remember what she was saying. Let's call it Tom. I don't know. She's like, "Tom, no, 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 no." And she goes to bend to her right. Like she goes to bend down to it to her right. Which should have been my first warning. She was very quick to start yelling at this dog. Like should have been my warning. Something's about to happen. So she like bends down into her right like this to reach for the dog. Dog's smarter than that. So when she goes to reach for the dog to the right, it like literally leaps over her hip on the left. So she's like turned this way. It leaps like behind her back on the left, and it's coming right the fuck at me. It has a cable on, like it's staked, a cable that it was staked like a run. But I'm well within the side of the cable. So it like leaps over her, and she's still turning around the wrong way. So I didn't know what to fucking do. Its mouth was open. It leaped at me. So I went to fucking hit it because I'm not about to get tackled by a goddamn dog. So I stuck my right hand out to hit it, and I hit it in the face, but it also bit me. So basically, like, when I went out to hit it, that's what it bit. It bit on my hand. It didn't even break the skin, but it did, like, try shaking its head and shit in midair. It just didn't work. But it bit hard enough not to break the skin. But you know how when something mashes you hard enough, it like pushes blood out of your pores. So I don't have like a scab or anything, but like little dots of blood wherever fucking tooth was, like just started kind of dripping out of my hand. But it didn't actually like rip skin. So I smacked the shit out of it. It bites, And then as soon as it goes to land again, it's latched onto me now. So I'm like, we're on. Yeah, it's starting to turn purple and shit. Like it's bruised, I guess. So I was like, well, we're fucking on now. Like your dog bit me. So when it lands, it's still not let go. So I have to like bend over with it. You're always supposed to feed a bite. Like you're not supposed to rip it out of its mouth because it'll take chunks with you. So I shove my hand back as far as I can back into its mouth and then fucking kick it upside the head and it lets go. So when I kicked it, it fucking finally let go or whatever, but it wasn't done. So she's now behind it trying to grab it. And I take off this way and kind of run into like an area like where there are tables and chairs and a tree. Like either it's like jump a table or, you know, like I kind of ran the wrong way. And I remember distinctly looking down and seeing a bunch of cable still on the ground, like it's chain, and thinking, this is not the place to be, right? Like I ran somewhere where now it's got more range to attack me. And as soon as I saw that cable, I fucking turned around in the exact opposite direction. And now her and the dog are coming back at me. And this time it jumps up again, like towards my face. And I don't know. I didn't have as much time. I didn't feel like I had as much time this time. So I kind of get my hands up and try to turn, but I just shove it off of me. It doesn't bite me the second time. I just shove it the fuck off of me and just jet like the way I came, like in between the truck and the camper again, just out. And she's like, God damn it, dog, whatever the dog's name is. God damn it, what the fuck, God damn it. She's like cussing the dog. And the guy comes running outside. So all that took like a fucking second. It felt like forever, but it took like a fucking second. He comes outside and he apologizes or whatever. And I was like, well, you know, it's fine. I'm not hurt, whatever. And he's like, no, it's, you know, it's not right. And she's just kind of standing there saying sorry, but she's not really doing anything to the dog other than cussing. Because he's like, what did the dog do this time? And she's like, it bit the campground man, which I thought that was a pretty cool title. And he's like pretty upset. So I'm like, no, fuck, don't worry about it. You know, at least it was me instead of somebody else. You know, I'm not going to sue you or anything like that. Just thank God I didn't fall down. That would have been bad, or if it had been a kid or whatever. So I just leave, and he follows me to the office, and he's like, no, I'm really sorry. This is unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, man, don't worry about it. You might want to, you know, shorten the chain, blah, 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 whatever. But like, you know, we got kids and stuff that run around here. At this time, there was like 4 kids. The oldest one was, I think, 10. And they were all riding one wheels around, right? Because there's like the kids at the campground, a lot of them have one wheels. And then the campground across the street rents out one wheels. So there was like 4 kids there. Like if those kids would have got up to it, it'd have fucked a kid up. And honestly, like, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I work with my hands. My hands are pretty tough. I honestly think if it would have bit me somewhere softer, like in my belly or my leg or something, it probably would have taken a chunk out. Like, thank God my hands are like old, used, fucking dried out leather and calloused and shit, because it probably would have fucked up a different part of my body. But anyways, I was like, no, I'm fine, whatever. So then I was, he leaves, and I was like, dog did bite the fuck out of me. And the boss is like, well, you know, they got to do better than that. Like, what if somebody wanders up? And we were just sitting here talking this. She wasn't planning on, like, throwing them out or anything. It was kind of a mutt. It had coloration like a healer. It's got a head like a pit bull, and he said it had pit in him. But he said when they did its genetic panel or whatever at the fucking vet, it had like 50 or like 35 breeds or something, like a bunch of breeds. So it's kind of like a mutt they got at the pound. And he come back and apologized again. He's like, well, it's super protective of her. And I was like, yeah, you know, and if you look at it from the dog's perspective, I just kind of popped out of nowhere and was coming up to her and reaching for her, right? Not that that's an excuse. Your dog should still be better trained to, like, at least on, even if it does attack when she's attacked, you should at least be able to say stop, no, something, and it stops. Or maybe it just barks or something, but it shouldn't bite immediately when anybody approaches her. He's like, well, it's super protective of her, and he tells me that they got it, they adopted it, and he had it trained a lot better, but they've been separated, so he hasn't been around, and now it's super, super, super protective of her, whatever. He tells me all that. Well, I've got shit to do. So I leave or whatever, and I go to, like, the store, and I'm looking for some stuff. I come back and do a little bit of work, and then Mariah stops me, and she's now at the office because I told her she was at home, but I told her I got bit and shit. It's just red and starting to turn purple and black, like it bruised. But so I tell her about it, and she's like, "Come here, come here." Later, I told her, and then this is like an hour later when I got back from the store. She's like, "Come here, come here." So I come over there, and she's like, "They're all fucking leaving." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, the dog that bit you, they're fucking leaving. And I was like, "Why?" Because they were paid for like another day. And she's like, "I guess over the dog bite or whatever." She's like, "Did you say anything to him?" I was like, "No, I told him it's okay, but you know, it can't be a kid, or I'm not fucking going back over there." You know what I mean? Like, fuck that dog. I'm done with it. And if a kid gets over there, something that could be bad, or a drunk person, or whatever, or just somebody that fell down. Like if you fell down and the dog got to your back, I mean, you fucking ate up before you get off the ground. Anyways, so they're all leaving or whatever. So he has the guy. The husband has to come to me and need some tools because he was packing up or whatever. And I was like, "You got everything?" He's like, "Well, the awning's stuck." So he needed some tools for the awning. So I went over there and helped him put his awning up. The dog was inside at this point. I went over there and helped him roll his awning up manually, even though it's electric. It was fucked up somehow. And while I'm standing there talking, you can tell there's a lot of tension, right, between the man and the woman. It's like a lot of unspoken tension. And then I was like, "Well, if your awning's not working, did you check the fuse?" And he's like, "Yeah, I checked everything inside." Then he goes inside to do something. And while he's inside, she's like, "He flipped the breakers. I don't even think he knows it has a fuse." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not part of this conversation. I was just asking a question." So then he comes back out or whatever. Well, she gets mad, or I guess she's mad. So like 30 minutes before he's done like packing up, ready to leave, she loads the fucking dog up and fucking takes off. And they drove two different vehicles, like a truck to pull a camper and in a car. So she, I guess, loads the dog up and takes off. She's gone. I saw her leave. And then he comes over and kind of tells us a story about how he disciplined the dog by grabbing it by the snout and clamping it and being like, "No, you can't do that. No." And was, I guess, pretty forceful in his words. He just said he didn't hit the dog. He didn't fucking shake the dog or whatever. But he like held him and was like, "You can't do that, blah, blah, blah." And she was trying to tell him like, "Oh, you shouldn't be that hard on him. He was just protecting me." And he's trying to tell her like, what if that had been a kid? Like he's been growling at the kids on the one wheels all day. What if a kid would have, dropped a ball or something and just wandered over here for whatever reason? Like, it's not like we're at our house where a kid shouldn't come in our yard. We're at a public place where, like, people walk around, and even though they probably shouldn't be that close to our camper, people still do, or a drunk person or something else. Like, I can't believe he fucking did that. So apparently they got into a big-ass fight about the dog and disciplining the dog, and that ruined their whole fucking weekend. So it was already ruined. I guess I ruined their life. I don't know. Maybe I caused a divorce. We'll see. So they took off, and she was pretty upset with him disciplining the dog and saying something. He was upset because he was afraid. He said he couldn't relax because what if a kid wanders over? What if somebody else comes out? He's not going to sit there like all fucking weekend and monitor the dog because it can't fucking behave. So he said he was just loading shit up and going to drink some beer and watch the game. She left before him. They both apologized to me, but I'm not the type to sue somebody. I probably could have, but it was just like, oh, well. If I was going to sue anybody, it would be that guy that fucking sprayed me with propane the other day at Tractor Supply. A dude fucking doused me in fucking propane. And then after he hit me with a fucking straight shot of liquid goddamn propane from like 2 foot away, he panicked and ran away. So I had to like crawl back over to the goddamn propane thing and turn it off myself because we were all going to fucking die. I don't know how these things happen. Have you ever heard the McChicken story? Like, I don't know how these things happen, but they happen. And it's pretty wild. Anyways, liquid propane is fucking freezing. Like, it fucking ices shit up. Like, it was bad. Hit me in the face, took my breath away. He ran away, was calling on the radio for the manager, and I had to, like, fucking crawl over and roll over to the fucking shutoff valve to shut it off. And he's lucky he had a wrench. There was like a crescent wrench there because he had left the bleed valve open so long it froze it. So, like, I tried to turn it once without, like, gloves on or whatever, and I thought, that's a bad idea. It's frozen. So I took the crescent wrench he had laying there and closed it. What a fucking retard. Ran away. But that's what happens when you hire fucking 16-year-olds out of school and have them trained to do propane or something like that. It's just dangerous. Like, they blow people up every year. Whatever. Anyways, I got bit by a dog and attacked and caused a divorce in the middle of it. So they left. He seemed like he was upset that, so the way we do refunds is like if you cancel more than a month out, you get your, I think it's a month. It might be a little bit longer than that. If you cancel more than a month out, you get your full money back. If you cancel within a month, but less than a week, I think they issue like a half a refund. And if you cancel like within a week or 10 days or something like that, we can credit you a day that you have to use before the end of the year. You have to use it before December 31st. But we can't give you a refund. But we pay like credit card processing fees and like a credit card processor and a payment reminder person, all this shit. Like, I don't think you should get like your money back if you cancel like fucking day of or like within like 3 days. That's crazy. But he seemed kind of upset about that and told him we could credit his stay. But he's like, no, I guess we'll be back. So I don't know. It's been a long day. So I got attacked by a dog. One of my sisters almost involved in a mass shooting. And then I called my other sister just to make sure she wasn't like being held hostage by Iranian terrorists or something. Turns out she was at a ball game. I guess she's watching UT play down in Charlotte. Right, so we take reservations. The campground, before the new owner took over, it used to kind of just be like first come, first serve, which was like a madhouse. And people trying to fuck other people and this and get... So now we do reservations. And like, especially our big weekends, like Labor Day and Memorial Day and shit, they book in January. Like we start taking bookings on like, I think it's January 5th or something, or maybe January 1st. For some reason, I want to say it's not the 1st. But anyways... that like our big weekends, our campground's booked like in January, like the first fucking week of January. So it is what it is. But then people want to cancel and you can't fill a spot that quick. I don't know. It is. But people get mad about that all the time, but it's part of our policy and they sign the agreement when they like agree to stay with us or whatever. It's not like a hotel, or I guess it's like a lot of those weekends we're booked completely up. So other people have been calling for 6 months saying, do you have any spots? Do you have any spots? Do you have any spots? And we've been turning them away. And then you want to wait till like the week of Memorial Day and be like, nah, we're not coming. I don't know. It is what it is. Life at the campground. So I got bit by a dog. Still haven't found the water leak. Basically, nothing's changed since yesterday, except I got bit by a dog and there was an active shooter. Damn, the radio chatter is fucking completely quiet. Oh. Oh, you guys might want to join Discord. I know a lot of people like Telegram more than Discord, especially the people that come from like the Q communities. But Telegram might be going away. If you want to stay in contact, you might want to join Discord instead of Telegram. There's just rumors about Telegram and the CSAM and the terroristic shit and all that shit that's going on. So there's a chance that people are proposing that there's either going to be probably big changes to Telegram or it may just go away completely. I fucking personally hate Telegram, but I know that's where most of the people settled. I only made the channel to monitor the Q-tards when we first started covering them. But then everybody fucking started joining it, so I like Discord a lot better. Plus, you have different rooms for different topics and shit. Discord's awesome. And we can integrate it straight into the show where you can come on with a camera, without a camera, just chat, leave messages. Discord's fucking awesome.
Show us back available.
0049.
There was also a big fake story that I was going to cover. I just didn't have time to cover it yet about the University of Texas canceling scholarships for people who kneeled during a game. Did you guys see that? We can look it up, I'm sure. There was a big scandal about this. University of Texas, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why everything froze over here. But somebody tried to get me to be on the side of like, well, don't you think people should stand? Yeah, I do. But it's also like, they're like, you're a veteran. Shouldn't people stand? Shouldn't people do this? Shouldn't people do that? No, that's part of the free, like, you have the freedom to burn a flag. Like, I might not like it. I might not support it. I definitely wouldn't do it. But, like, part of the freedoms you fought for is the freedom to burn a flag, or the freedom to kneel, or the freedom to not stand, or the freedom to whatever. And that's part of it. Like, when people say, like, you fought for our freedoms, and then people are kneeling during the national anthem, doesn't that make you mad? No. I mean, that's their freedom. Like, I just don't understand this. But it says, after the University of Texas, all students who knelt during the national anthem were rounded up and removed from scholarship programs. All students who knelt during the national anthem were rounded up and removed from scholarship programs. This is not true. This is all a lie. And it just does, lies like these make me think they're from Russia or outside actors, because they spread more dissent between the people. They're a bigger divide. So I heard an interesting take. I think it was a Destiny clip I was watching. I can't remember. I watched a bunch of videos on the Comrade Tim Pool, but it might have been Destiny. Anyways, the person said that even though the Russians got busted, first of all, Tim Pool, absolutely. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson absolutely knew some fuckery was going on, okay? I went back and looked through the views that their videos got on an archive page of that channel. They absolutely knew what was going on. No one has a video. No one says, hey, we'll host your video that makes $300 an episode or $1,000 an episode, or let's get crazy here. Some of their videos had like 10,000 views. Makes $5,000 an episode. And says, we'll pay you $100,000 an episode. So did they outright know that they were working for the Russians? No, but they knew some fuckery was going on. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, all in the politosphere, right? All do this type of work. All know how many views get you how much money, how much they charge for things, and ad spots and ad reads. Not to mention, they're paying $100,000. And they're not even asking you. Another clue he gave away, Tim Pool gave away, that he should have known some fuckery was going on. He was being paid he claims no one ever said anything about my content. So you're telling me you're getting paid $100,000 an episode, non-exclusive, right? You can post clips on your channel or whatever channel, right? It's not exclusive to the Only Tenant Media. And they've never asked you to say, hey, read this ad. Hey, shout this out. Hey, make sure you tell people to click this link. Like most YouTubers might get like $10,000 for an ad read, right? And they want a 1-minute ad read. They'll tell you all the things you have to say. Sometimes they tell you stuff to steer away from. They tell you what assets to use, what link to send people to for $10,000. But for $100,000 on a video that's making $1,000, you're just being paid that, and you're like, oh yeah, seems legit. $100,000 an episode? Yeah, it seems legit. How many views did the video get? 3,800? Oh, okay. Yeah, that seems great. Like, I know this probably doesn't click to people who are outside of, like, making content, but, like, I know how much my videos are going to make when I put them on YouTube. And if someone came in, let's say my video is going to make $20, and someone comes in and says, I'll pay you $20,000 to make that same video on my channel with less subscribers. If I'm not asking why, who, what the fuck, what's the catch, what's going on here, oh, no, don't worry about it. It's this guy who doesn't exist on Google, and he just really likes you. He's not looking for a return on his investment at all. They knew. They knew that some fuckery was going on. 100,000%. They may have never asked and known it was the Russian government, but they knew something was going on. No call to action, no click this link, no 1 minute ad read, no exclusivity. Like, exclusivity is a big deal. If someone's paying you a ton of money for a video, they want exclusive rights to it, right? But Tim Pool was allowed to tweet, allowed to re-upload, allowed to non-exclusive. But the interesting part in it is, even though the Russians got busted, so when they were paying and not busted, right, when they were under the radar, they were basically keeping large content creators afloat. And if you say, well, they weren't keeping them afloat, they made their own money. Well, they were giving them more money to do more of their content that already supports a Russian narrative, right? So, let's say they weren't keeping them afloat. They're making more than enough money to survive, which Tim Pool is. They were giving him more money to make more content, to do more with, to do bigger things, and still keeping his pro-Russian shit on, right? Then they were paying him this money to keep him going, so they're winning there, right? They're keeping this narrative alive that Russia likes to see. But they even win when they get busted. So they get busted as Russia, right? They get busted. 2 of their people get indicted. But now they've sown this seed that every time you're watching right wing, left wing, somebody that's like pro-Russia, blah, 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 you're immediately going to think, are they being paid by the Russians? You doubt news sources even more. So if their goal is not to like just promote pro-Russia talking points or just get Donald Trump elected, their goal is this divide. And they, even in getting busted and having a federal indictment come out and all this being named and people talking about it and showing that all these people are fucking shills paid for by Russia, they still push their narrative. So it was a win-win for them. Yeah, we can fly under the radar. We can pay content creators to do more, to be more, to say more of stuff we like. And even if we get busted, yeah, we lost 2 fucking retards from RT, but look how many people then won't trust any of the narratives, right? The trust in media goes down a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then the people who see that, obviously, rightfully so, and also see the people blindly still supporting Tim Pool will be like, fuck you guys are retarded. You guys can't tell that, like me, right? You guys are fucking retarded. Clearly, he knew what was going on. I can't believe you're over here making excuses. There's a guy on TikTok that leaves a comment every time I make a video about it, and he says, pretty funny that the pro-Russian talking points are more pro-America than the dumb shitocrats. I'm pretty convinced he's a fucking bot. What is not illegal? What is not illegal? It absolutely is illegal to spread foreign propaganda for a nation state. You have to register as an agent of that nation state. Anyways, so they win either way, right? They still have the divide. They still have people doubting. Plus, they got their own media out, and they paid these people who should have known, 1,000% should have known something fucking crazy was going on. Something crazy was going on. Like, if you go back and look at the views they got on these videos, there's no way they're recouping 5,000 views, 4,000 views, 10,000, 4,000. Here's one, 46,000, 6,000, 2,000. That might even be fucking botted. That's so out of the ordinary. 5,000, 3,000, 26,000, 3,000, 3,000, 5,000, 44, 31. Like, these are not making $100,000 an episode. And to pay the talent $100,000 an episode, they probably need to be making $2,000 or $3,000 an episode, right? Like, to pay the main host that, because you also got overhead and producers and editing and setup and all the other fees that everybody else wants to make their money. These videos are not even breaking $10,000 in ad revenue, and they're paying $100,000 per episode. That's insane. They should have known something wild was going on. And of course they didn't. Or they claim they did. I'm the victim here. By the way, the dumbest thing to ever ever, 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 ever do is be like, I'm a victim, so I'm cooperating with a voluntary interview for the FBI. Tim believes it's all corrupt and run by the Democrats. Why the fuck would he go do a voluntary interview with the FBI? I'm the victim who made $5.6 million. Trust me, I'm a victim. Everybody knows I'm a victim. Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. There's a TikTok creator I want to show you. I think he had a pretty good take on it. If I can find him. Just give me a minute. Menu, settings, privacy, activity center. Watch history. The older millennial still doesn't know what being arrested is. I was not arrested. Well, what were you then? What exactly were you if you were not arrested? You guys know that family I always show you guys, Big Justice and AJ and a double chunk chocolate cookie, that guy. They keep this little fat kid with them. Like this little chubby kid, and they call him the Rizzler. And I guess most people, myself included, thought that that little fat kid was part of their family. He's not. He's not related. He's not distantly related. He's not anything. Instead, his family just gave him up to the Big Justice family. To the AJ family to become TikTok famous, and he just hangs out with them for weeks and months at a time, travels around with them, does their shit. Pretty fucking weird, right? Like,
I hope that old Jerry.
And that kid's even younger. That kid's even younger. Like, he might be like 10. So, I don't know what's going on there. It seems very strange. The Rizzler is not related to them in any way, shape, or form. Their parents just kind of let them pseudo-adopt them. It's very, very, very weird.
Russia social media indictment thing. How bad is it for Lauren Chen? Pretty bad. The Department of Justice indicted 2 Russians for paying popular political influencers to promote specific political ideas, and the Russians paid the influencers through Lauren Chen's company. The indictment doesn't name names, but you can tell through really obvious context clues who the indictment is talking about. The influencers being paid are Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, Lauren Southern.
By the way, I was wrong. Dave Rubin and Tim Pool are 1 and 2. Tim Pool is still 2. I was wrong about Benny Johnson. 1 is Dave Rubin. 2 is Tim Pool. 3, the guy who decided to make the video and blame the ISIS attack on Ukraine is Benny Johnson. Somebody found that video. Benny Johnson claiming that the clearly ISIS attack, ISIS took credit for it, whatever. It was actually Ukraine funded by the U.S.
Johnson and whoever these guys are. The indictment doesn't charge Lauren Chen or her husband with a crime, but it seems to me that unless the indictment is lying or...
They absolutely 100% should be charged with a crime. I've said this again and again. At minimum, Lauren Chen and her husband should be charged with a crime. I didn't know they were married either. Liam Donovan, that's her husband, because they were talking privately and calling their bosses the Russians. They were Googling stuff like, what time is it in Moscow? Oh, it's 4:30 a.m. I guess I got to wait a few hours for someone to approve my expenses. You know, they 100% knew. 100%.
Wrong or leaving out crucial, important details. That Lauren Chen is likely guilty of crimes, and she probably will be charged with those crimes, and she probably should be. I also think that the influencers involved probably did know and certainly should have known what they were doing. The basics are that a mysterious...
Wait a second. Not illegal! Is that what we're going to start yelling? What was the thing that he yelled before? Not a felony? Was that the thing that he kept yelling before when we were talking about the Trump case? What was it?
This money man,
you guys know what I'm talking about,
who actually doesn't exist and is just a persona used by the Russians, wants to hire Lauren Chen to hire other influencers who are focused on U.S.
That's also the guy that said Trump never said lock her up.
Probably will be charged with those crimes, and she probably should be. I also think that the influencers involved probably did know and certainly should have known what they were doing. The basics are that a mysterious money man, Edward Gregorian, who actually doesn't exist and is just a persona used by the Russians, wants to hire Lauren Chen to hire other influencers who are focused on U.S. politics in order to spread specific videos and messages. And Gregorian is willing to pay these influencers up to $5 million a year. Superficially, the idea is that
and even when this was pitched to them, to like the Russians, they said there's no way that you're going to recoup any of this. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to afford, with the views, to pay $5 million a year. That's how much they're going to want. We would like to move forward with that.
Influencers are going to combine into this channel, Tenet Media, and it's going to repost content from each of these 6 influencers. And I say that's the superficial idea because it doesn't really make a lot of sense if you think about it. Social Blade tells us that the Tenet Media channel was earning less than $10,000 a month. And before YouTube deleted the channel, I looked at it and I saw that their videos were getting 10, 15, 20,000 views. The videos just weren't getting that many views and the channel didn't earn that much money. And that just doesn't make sense as a business model. From the indictment,
never does.
Founder 1 is Lauren Chen, is warning the Russians that commentator 1 and commentator 2, that's Dave Rubin and Tim Pool, would not be profitable to employ. So they've made this deal where they're going to pay Rubin and Pool about $5 million a year, slightly more complex. They're getting paid per week or per video with performance bonuses and so on. But it works out to on the order of $5 million a year. And Lauren Chen is telling the Russians, hey, this isn't going to be profitable to employ these guys at $5 million a year. And the Russians say, that's great, we'd love to move forward with that. So the business model, if this were a business, is just fundamentally unworkable. And all of these people, from Lauren Chen to Lauren Southern, have experience on YouTube. And they would all know that reposting Tim Pool clips for 10 to 30,000 views on YouTube isn't going to be worth $5 million a year. But Gregorian, their mysterious investor, aka the Russians, they aren't really paying for the business aspect of it.
The Russians are the ones that were indicted for like the money laundering and FARA violations. I would say that's a lot of money to launder through. So the money laundering comes in because they were sending these checks not to pay their foreign agents for propaganda, but they were putting stuff on the memos like electronics, random electronics, 100 iPhone 15s. Like they were clearly laundering the money.
And videos on your own channel. And the indictment does lay out how the Russians sent those requests for specific messages through Lauren Chen to the influencers. I know I have the benefit of hindsight here, but it just doesn't seem like too hard a puzzle to put together who is paying you in this situation. Which is why I said at the beginning, I feel like the influencers did know.
So that means David Rubin was the person who reached out and was like, I need some more information on this guy. Tim Pool never even did that. I need some more information on who the owner is, who the investor is, who this is, who that is, you know. And they sent him back this super fucking fake resume, CV. And he still had questions with that. But then when they talked in person, he was fine with it.
And certainly should have known what was going on. In other words, that they were being paid by Russians to promote a specific narrative. Lauren Chen, on the other hand, definitely did know what was going on. When she was communicating with her husband about this, they would refer to the people who were paying them, who are sending money through their company, to the influencers as the Russians. So their private correspondence included things like, I'm going to ask the Russians about hiring producer 2 this week. Or, so we're billing the Russians from the corporation, right? And in one instance, while Lauren Chin was waiting on a reply from her investor who's pretending to be a Western European in Western Europe, while Lauren Chin is awaiting a reply from the investor, she Googles current time in Moscow, suggesting that she knows that her investor actually is in Moscow and isn't getting back to her because of the time.
So we know at minimum they pulled shit from her computer that was like what she was Googling and shit, when, and how this tied into her communication logs, right? Because she didn't Google it in Discord, right? She went to the internet and Google. So we know at least they have that information on her.
Time in Moscow.
Which may be like, they may still have a sealed indictment they haven't announced yet for her. Especially if they're going to go that far to pull her shit. They know everything she's done now.
The indictment just charges 2 Russians with money laundering and with violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Basically, if you're going to promote the narrative of a foreign government into the American public, you need to register that you're doing that so that the public is aware of what you're doing and why. But in my opinion, unless the indictment is missing something or just completely wrong about the details, Lauren Chin and her husband are every bit as guilty as the 2 Russian employees. And again,
100%.
I'm not a lawyer, but I would expect Chin.
They're as guilty as the Russians, so if they don't get charged as well, that's a bias right there.
And her husband to be charged. It certainly seems like they should be. And on the subject of me not being a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer.
There you go.
Legal advice, but I noticed this Tim Pool tweet where he says he's the potential victim of a crime and he's intending to cooperate with a voluntary interview with the FBI. I wouldn't do that, Tim. You're clearly an accessory to this crime. You made a lot of money by spreading what was obviously pro-Russian messaging for money without registering as a foreign agent. So you're clearly an accomplice to this crime. I wouldn't do any voluntary interviews with the FBI because they're probably...
A voluntary interview because you're the victim. At any moment in time, you slip up and you are now the perpetrator of a crime, right? Like, they're also listening for anything that you're going to say that incriminates yourself. I would not do this. Even if I was 100% innocent and had no idea it was the Russians. You took this gigantic sum of money for something that was the worst investment in history, and you didn't ask no questions, just kept your head down. Still fucking looks bad. I damn sure wouldn't be voluntarily. But I would say that the only way to prove, how can I say this? The only way to prove that these commentators, Tim Pool and the likes, were fooled into, like they were tricked into it, and it didn't seem like they knew that they were being paid by the Russians, at least outwardly, would be to pull some of their records and some of their messages and some of their history. So they probably already have a portfolio on Tim.
Looking for information to use against you.
I think this is honestly him lying. I'll be offering my assistance. I think he's just lying.
Nah, just kidding. You're fine, Tim. You'll be fine. Go talk to the FBI. You don't even need to bring a lawyer with you. You can handle it by yourself. Good, do that. Finally, you might be thinking, well, what about free speech? How does free speech factor into this? Shouldn't I be free to spread pro-Russia?
Absolutely. As long as you're not being paid by that country to spread it.
Or anti-US or anti-Ukraine messaging if I want to. And yes, you should be, and you absolutely are. The issue is not the content of the speech. Rather, the issue is the actions that these influencers were taking.
I can say that. I can say that the same thing Tim Pool said, right? Ukraine is the greatest threat to America and the rest of the free world, and that we should immediately withdraw from Ukraine, pull off our funding, and apologize to Russia. But I'm not being paid to say that, right? There's not a direct link back to a foreign agency. That's literally their entire mission is to spread propaganda in the U.S.
They were accepting money from a foreign government, Russia, in order to spread the political messaging of that foreign government to manipulate U.S. public opinion.
He claims he's been swatted a bunch. It's kind of it's his fucking own issue, right? He should have done this public information. If you're big enough, I've been swatted multiple times, and I'm tiny.
Without disclosing that they were doing so. The Foreign Agents Registration Act says that basically if you're going to do something like this, you need to register as a foreign agent so that the American public knows what you're doing and why. And money laundering. Lauren Chin's company, which was receiving money from the Russians, was getting money from companies all around the world, and they were sending her the money with notes that said things like, this is in exchange for a shipment of iPhones, or this is payments for electronic services, things like that. So the money being transferred to Lauren Chin and her company, which was later dispersed among the influencers, was clearly the product of some kind of money laundering. And again, Lauren Chin should have known that. She should have recognized that.
I'm glad you made your way out, Jizzy McBride.
I would say she's committed a crime. They probably should charge her with it. I would expect them to charge her with it, or that she will cooperate with them to avoid being charged. As far as the other influencers go...
Yeah, she might work with them, voluntarily do this, turn this over, and testify, maybe.
I think that's maybe a little more of a gray area. Maybe there's enough ambiguity there that the chilling effect on free speech would be worse than charging them. So I don't have strong opinions there. Thanks for your time. Russia, social media.
All right, here's the comments. To all the people defending Tim Pool here, isn't it crazy his meat is inside you and you aren't getting paid by the Russia? It's just for the love of the game. I've casually listened to Tim Pool for years, and as much as I value your takes and this theory, it's hard for me to believe he knowingly did this, even if it's based on just his personal stances alone. Tim Pool has zero integrity. Laugh out loud, so much Tim Pool copium in the comments. The Tim Pool video, the Tim Pool video is insane. Watching the Tim Pool copium in these comments is making my day. Bro, this is nuts. I used to hate watch Lauren Chin all the time. This is so vindicating. To be fair, that Tim Pool clip is a very small clip considering he spent hours upon hours calling Putin and Russia evil as well. Thank you very much. Jaybird bought 8 6-packs. Just want to make sure this still worked. Yeah, it's still working. Thank you for the donation. Yeah, I can't speak for the rest of them, but I'm 100% convinced that Tim Pool had no idea. That guy's as sharp as a marble. Well, what's with this heavy Tim Pool hate? I've watched him for a while, and his opinions have not changed much, and he has always been critical of the Ukraine war, both sides. That's the reason they went for him. He's already spreading what they want spread, right? So they don't have to come to him and say, hey, we're the Russians. We need you to change your media. He's already spreading it. Why not support that and keep him going? I don't think Tim Pool was only paid by Russian propagandists. He explained that the money he got was relatively inconsequential for his licensing agreement that LC obtained through Tenet Media. Bullshit. Nobody's licensing any content for $100,000 an episode and it gets 5,000 views. Not happening. Did Tim Pool hold those beliefs before any license deals were made with a third party? Lots of people, including our own corporate media, bashed Ukraine until the war. Then they magically became the good guys. That's irrelevant, right? You're telling me that if I was hounding on Taiwan, and then China came in and paid me $5 million, and I'm like, Taiwan, it's irrelevant whether I held those beliefs before or not. Now I'm being paid by a foreign government to state those beliefs. That's irrelevant. Tim does have 2 different shows, Culture Wars and Timcast IRL. Both existed prior to Tenet Media, and only Culture Wars is featured on Tenet Media through a licensing agreement allowing Tenet Media to distribute their shows. So I can't see how they were being paid to spread Russian government propaganda if the shows already existed. So now you have to be paid. So now, if I have a show for years, no matter what my take is, if it does a fucking 180 in the other direction as soon as Russia starts paying me, it doesn't matter because my show already existed. People are so fucking retarded. Sounds more on the lines of deception among Tenet Media. You apparently aren't aware that the FBI has reached out to Tim Pool and others as victims of this, not as perpetrators. You apparently didn't watch the whole video. He mentioned that. Agree with everything you said, and our government and campaign should also have to disclose payments made to influencers to spread these messages. Charge Lauren Chin. Tim Pool has been saying that since we first started sending money to Ukraine. It doesn't matter. Again, that doesn't matter. If my entire show, if I rename my show, the U.S. should apologize to Russia, and my entire show is me going over and over and over and over and over again how much I believe the U.S. should apologize to Russia forever, and I do that for 10 years, and then Russia starts sending me $1 million a day, and I just keep up the same exact thing. It doesn't matter if my show already existed. It doesn't matter that my stances didn't change. It doesn't matter. I'm being paid by a foreign entity to say something as a foreign agent. That it doesn't matter. I didn't see this until now. Let's see what this is. You've been wrong every other time you popped in the chat. I'm not going to start now and say that you're right.
Now the focus of a TBI investigation. News Channel 5 investigates, uncovers new
It doesn't matter. If I'm independently a proponent of Turkey, and then later on I'm still a proponent of Turkey, but Turkey's paying me $5 million a month, it doesn't matter. You're just wrong.
questions about the stories that Sean Taylor tells about himself.
It's the story that just keeps on giving. A lot to get to here at 6 o'clock. We're glad you're joining us. I'm Hunter Hoagland.
And I'm Jennifer Krause. It is a scandal first uncovered by our chief investigative reporter, Phil Williams. And Phil, what you've uncovered seems to raise more questions about the police chief and assistant police chiefs on stories.
That's right. Stories about the jobs he claims to have held in the past, stories about the retaliation he claims to have faced, stories that continue to raise questions about whether Millersville's conspiracy cop should have a gun and a badge.
Pucker factor's starting to get a little high. I'm afraid I got a damn Ford team sitting out here in the curtilage with the damn painting my place with a laser.
In Sean Taylor's mind.
So this has something to do with Scott McKay. The person who has to register in FARA is an agent of a foreign principal. And it says an agent of a foreign principal is any person who acts as an agent, representative, employee, or servant, or otherwise acts at the order, request, or under the direction or control of a foreign principal and does any of the following: engages the U.S. in political activities such as intending to influence the U.S. government, official, or the American public regarding U.S. domestic or foreign policy, or the political or public interest of a foreign agent or foreign political party, acts within the United States as a public relations counsel, publicity agent, information service employee, or political consultant, solicits, collects, disburses, or dispenses contributions, loans, money, or other things of value within the United States, represents within the United States the interest of a foreign principal before the U.S. government, officials, or agencies.
He's been onto a vast international conspiracy involving some of the country's most powerful politicians.
We are getting closer and closer and closer to taking the deep state down.
A discovery, he claims, that has continually put a target on his back.
And every time...
There he is, the Patriot street sweeper.
I will go to an agency and start digging. They will always, as soon as I start showing them.
If you're ever in the situation ever where you think I'm receiving money from a foreign government, do I need to register with FARA? You can just go fucking ask. Do I need to? I'm receiving this money. If you're transparent about it, I'm receiving this money. I do this type of show. They're asking me for an ad read or they want to sponsor my show or whatever. They'll fucking tell you.
Everything. They shut me down.
Which is why the Millersville assistant police chief says he has had trouble keeping a job.
You don't become a gypsy cop going from agency to agency. You don't do it. It's bad. But it was to the point that that's what was forced on me.
As the well-connected bad guys he imagines repeatedly try to shut him down.
And if they can't get rid of you, then they'll have the district attorney come after you.
But our News Channel 5 investigation discovered that Sean Taylor...
Conspiracy cop. The stories that Millersville conspiracy cop tells about himself, they're all lies. All his background is going to be a lie, I'm guessing.
A trail of questions throughout his career. His Facebook page claims he once worked at the Williamson County Sheriff's Department. The agency says it has no record of him. On this job application, Taylor claimed he worked at the Hickman County Sheriff's Department as a deputy sheriff and chief jail administrator. Hickman County officials say he was only a correctional officer.
So he just worked in a jail.
I mean, literally, I was wrote up one time in my entire 25-year career and given a 2-day suspension for a pursuit that went from my location to downtown Nashville because it got caught on Sky 5 traffic and it ended up being some boys.
Not as a correctional officer, you weren't involved in any pursuit.
That had carjacked some people.
In fact, records show Taylor nearly got fired from the Columbia Police Department in 2009 following a complaint by a woman he was pursuing while he was...
Could Tim Pool be held liable under FARA? I don't know, but he's definitely complicit. He's definitely part of the money laundering scheme. That's where the money went.
Married. The woman claimed he continued to call and send her text messages over her objections, even calling her an in-lover because...
Oh, my God. What?
That had carjacked some people.
In fact, records show Taylor...
Time in my entire 25-year career and given a 2-day suspension for a pursuit that went from my location to downtown Nashville because it got caught on Sky 5 traffic and it ended up being some boys.
Alpha WA, is it warning show? Alpha War something show. What's the Alpha Warrior show? Thank you.
It had carjacked some people.
In fact, records show Taylor nearly got fired from the Columbia Police Department in 2009 following a complaint by a woman he was pursuing while he was married. The woman claimed he continued to call and send her text messages over her objections, even calling her an in-lover because she was friends with an African-American officer. Investigators concluded he was guilty of harassment, stalking, and criminal trespassing.
Oh, my goodness.
Taylor initially denied the allegations. Then he worked out a deal for a...
Alpha is with CanCon? Of course he is. Somebody I used to hang out with online drugged me onto a CanCon show one time without telling me that he was a Q-tard piece of shit. You remember that?
10-day suspension.
It's no secret. I was no angel when I was younger, and I'm not going to hide for it. My, God, my Lord Jesus Christ, He knows what I've done.
In a recent interview with right-wing podcasters, the Millersville...
Oh, my God. That's PPN.
Assistant Police Chief seemed to acknowledge that our investigation would turn up some...
My Lord Jesus Christ, He knows what I've done.
He's the Assistant Police Chief?
In a recent interview with right-wing podcasters, the Millersville Assistant Police Chief seemed to acknowledge that our investigation would turn up some unsavory parts of his past.
But it's not just what Sean Taylor has done in the past. We also uncovered questions about the bizarre stories he continues to tell about the people who he thinks will do whatever it takes to stop his investigations.
No recollection.
We'd like to talk to you about some of your conspiracy theories.
All right, well, have a good day.
Taylor has refused to answer any of our questions about his wild conspiracy theories, but one of his favorites stems from a few months when he worked for this tiny police department in West.
That's a police station?
Tennessee.
Literally had somebody show up to my house, warn me, and literally a week later to the day, I was involved in a head-on collision.
There, Taylor claims he got so close to the truth about the conspiracy he was investigating that, as he describes it, someone decided to take him out.
I was literally warned several times, and within a week of being warned one time, I was hit head-on in a car crash and survived.
He's so close to uncovering it.
The accident report from that crash, and it showed that instead of being a deliberate hit, the other driver ran a stop sign. Both vehicles swerved to avoid each other before colliding, and Taylor did not show any signs of incapacitating injuries.
Oh, man.
It took me out for about a year and a half.
Oh.
Again, we got his
at least a year
file, and it shows that...
To whom it may concern, sir, this letter is to clarify the records of Sean Taylor in correction of our past letter. After carefully researching our files, we found that Sean Taylor was employed from November 2011 through June of 2012. Although we paid Sean Taylor through July of 2012, last check being issued August 2nd, 2012, Officer Sean Taylor was a patrolman under the supervision of Chief John Youngston. Sean Taylor was never chief of police in Saltillo, Tennessee. Upon leaving the Saltillo Police Department, Officer Sean Taylor left a note, badge, and keys with a note stating his grandmother was ill and he had to quit. Officer Taylor gave no notice of his desire to quit and would not respond to our calls or emails. The city responded to a Ridgetop Police Department background investigation sent to our department on 11/1/17 in the effect of hiring Sean Taylor, in which we responded, "Do not hire." Uh-oh.
Several months after the crash, Taylor suddenly left a note with his badge and keys. The note said his grandmother was ill. Taylor had given no notice of his desire to quit and would not respond to calls or emails.
Sean, it looks like you're prepared for something, man. What's up here?
Then in fall 2022, Taylor's story took another strange turn as he claimed his life was in danger from the conspiracies he had figured out.
Quiet quitting.
Not surprise me if we get one of these tonight.
Oh, brother. Let me tell you, I've had a white van sitting in my cul-de-sac 2 days in a row. That was no joke.
You're the assistant chief of police. Go ask them what the fuck they're doing.
A few months later, again, this was before he was hired at Millersville, Taylor reported that someone had shot up his house. According to a police report, Taylor suggested he may have been targeted because he has proven that numerous high-ranking politicians and judges in the area are linked to money laundering and narcotics delivering and sale.
Have you seen any of these pictures?
Yeah.
And they came through cabinets, came through walls, exited. It was an attempt to scare. It was an attempt to say, hey, you need to shut up.
Back with his QAnon podcast buddies, Taylor said the TBI was called in and he gave an agent permission to search his property for evidence. But he claims
this guy's voice is weird or something. Is he hiding an accent? Like the not the cop, the guy who's doing the story. Is he hiding an accent or an impediment or something?
But Taylor said the TBI was called in and he gave an agent permission to search his property for evidence. But he claims she went rogue and began searching without him present.
It's not. I said, you can pack your stuff and leave. So basically, I put her in timeout, right? So she turns to me. She's like, well, I want to see who you're going to get to solve this. Well,
which feeds back into his bizarre conspiracy theories.
Now, you can't trust the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We have people that I've talked about on the shows that are former Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We know where it goes.
The TBI says Sean Taylor's complaint about the shooting at his house remains under investigation. Will it turn out to be a real threat or just another of his conspiracies?
And what's strange, more strange about the story that involved the reported shooting at Taylor's house, there were no witnesses. Apparently, no one caught it on home security cameras.
Damn it.
And whoever fired the shots did not leave behind any shell casings that might have been used to help investigators tie it to a specific gun.
Not a single shell casing left at the scene. Wow.
Interesting, and so many questions. I know you have tried repeatedly, many times, to talk to Sean Taylor, Millersville Police, to get them to tell their side of the story. I assume still no luck?
Yeah, I reached out to them more than 72 hours ago, and as usual, have not heard back.
And somebody told me to watch this channel from the video from 2 days ago. TikTok star? No, that's 1 day ago. Fertility clinic. Friend remembers man who was shot and killed outside a gas station in Smyrna. Which one? Oh, there's a Millersville one. Okay. Millersville conspiracy. Oh, so there's a rally in defense of.
As the TBI zeroes in on Millersville Police, the department's assistant chief and his allies now going on the attack. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. Not long after the TBI wrapped up its rage yesterday in Millersville, Assistant Chief Sean Taylor turned to some far-right.
Hold on.
As the TBI zeroes in on Millersville Police, the department's
Oh, so the TBI is moving in on him.
Controversial assistant chief and his allies now going on the attack. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rory Johnston.
So the TBI is coming in to investigate these fucking yahoos.
Carrie Sharp. Not long after the TBI wrapped up its rage yesterday in Millersville, Assistant Chief Sean Taylor turned to some far-right allies to tell his story. News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams has the latest.
As the TBI was raiding Millersville Police on Wednesday, Sean Taylor sent out a short video to rally his allies. Before the night was up, he and his friends were throwing out some brand new allegations.
We are live with breaking news. The biggest...
Kim Yeater, takeyourpowerbackshow.com from Kim Yeater.
Corruption story in America.
Yeater, I barely know her.
In the darkest corners of the internet, where the most bizarre theories of the QAnon conspiracy movement are found.
That's why that dog bit me. Shitty jokes.
From the harvesting of organs to adrenochrome. Guys, this is real stuff.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation raids on the Millersville Police Department are fueling new conspiracies.
Sean Taylor, Assistant Chief of Millersville Police Department, just had his home invaded with no warrant.
In fact, the search of Sean Taylor's home was based on a warrant issued
with no warrant. How many times in the last 5 years do you think they've just kicked in doors and not even had a fucking warrant? Like, you might say they got the warrant on bad terms or somebody lied about it or whatever. You think police officers are still running around kicking in doors and searching shit with no fucking warrant, no probable cause, no nothing? Why? It would just immediately get thrown out in court. Why?
Millersville Police Department just had his home invaded with no warrant.
In fact, the search of Sean...
I'm not saying this never went on. It probably has a bunch in the past. And that's why we have laws and statutes in place. And that's why the courts rule the way they do. And shit gets thrown out. Like, obviously, they're going to cross their I's and dot their T's, as Ryan Upchurch would say.
Taylor's home was based on a warrant issued by a judge.
Chief Taylor's in the house. Well, it's been a heck of a day today, gentlemen.
On another podcast, the conspiracy-minded assistant police chief presented himself as a victim.
It's very disheartening to know that you have.
I wonder if this guy right here is Brad Barton's contact DC. Does that guy have a Southern accent?
Victim.
It's very disheartening to know that you have law enforcement at the state level, district attorneys and judges that are executing search warrants on an agency that is trying to take out corruption.
Agents were looking for files that Taylor and Millersville PD may have compiled using sensitive law enforcement data as he pursued his bizarre conspiracy theories, potentially even investigating his political enemies.
And one of the TBI agents that we were looking at, and we believe that we've got reasonable suspicion to believe that he's involved because his name keeps popping up. He was one of the ones that helped execute the search warrant today on us.
Taylor has claimed that some of the most powerful political figures in the world are involved in child sex trafficking.
Of course they are.
Claims TBI Director David Roush was put in place by that same cabal.
Sean Taylor investigated and he found out too much. That's my personal opinion.
Also coming to Taylor's defense, the man behind what appears to have been a botched child predator sting run by a controversial nonprofit group out of Tucson. Following questions raised by News Channel 5 Investigates, agents were looking for evidence that the lead detective in that case may have committed perjury.
So that's inside baseball. That's law enforcement stuff. That's not the business of any news reporter.
This guy brings a bunch of credibility that shouldn't be to it. He's kind of like Jaco. So this is Craig Sawman Sawyer, and obviously you see his name. He was in the Marine Corps. He was a Navy SEAL, sniper, probably combat instructor. He owns a company called, is it Tactical Insider, Tactical Solutions, Tactical. Anyways, they talk to Hollywood's filmmakers about how to make like military and combat and stuff more realistic. That's how he made all his money, and then he became a fucking huge-hard.
And that's not my business. So
while the TBI continues its investigation, Sean Taylor and his allies are hoping to rally like-minded people to rise up in opposition to the scrutiny he now faces.
This needs to reach the highest levels. This needs to go national.
And there was...
You know who it reminds me of? That crazy conspiracy firefighter that believes that he gets God dreams like Kim Kukich and can tell Trump won. What's that guy's name? The firefighter guy that went around for years and said that he had these dreams of Trump being delivered by angels to the White House and shit.
Sean Taylor and his allies are hoping to rally like-minded people to rise up in opposition to the scrutiny he now faces.
Mark Taylor, thank you.
This needs to reach the highest levels. This needs to go national.
And there was some talk in Sean Taylor circles that they do expect some prominent people on the far, far right to soon come to his defense.
I hope so.
We'll be watching. Phil Williams, News Channel 5 Investigates.
God, I hope he gets Kanye to show up in Taylorsville or McMillerville or wherever the fuck he's at. I hope he gets Kanye in there. That'd be cool. Wounded Warrior Project, AT&T, Prepare Now, Classroom Panic Button, Sped Up Georgia's Shooting Response. This is actually really cool. So if you don't know what happened, all the teachers at the Georgia school carry like a badge or some type of device like that connects to Wi-Fi, and it's NFC, it's all kinds of things. But it's basically a silent alarm that every fucking teacher, yeah, we shouldn't need them. Technically, people shouldn't be shooting up schools. But as long as that's something that happens, they basically have these badges that's like a silent alarm like you'd have at a bank. And they can any of them can activate it at any time and immediately notifies the police force. I don't want to tactically say too much, not that I think that anybody watching this would potentially be a school shooter, but we actually have an auxiliary team. So we have a nuclear facility here, and that nuclear facility has a tactical team, a couple of different tactical teams that handle their security. That team holds a police commission. They're basically a Tennessee police officer, right? They are a state police officer. They have to have a state police commission to do their job because they can like pull you over and everything. They don't, but they can like pull you over. They can serve warrants. They can do everything that a police officer can, even though they work in the private sector. But to do their job with the Department of Energy, they have to hold it. So they have a response team that is aimed at our schools, our school system in case of like a school shooter. They've got the first thing I thought is this is going to be confusion, right? If like the police show up and they're doing one thing, and then like the tactical response team shows up and they're doing something else, but they have designated ways to identify themselves. It's like part of their gear they wear to identify themselves. They've got cross agency communication sources, and they have an incredible response time with so like cops, if cops had to respond to a school shooting, they're usually spread out all over the place. Like one will get there, then two more will get there, then three will get there. Then usually they have to have enough to at least have a stack to like, infiltrate, like close quarters combat. But where the tactical team is just down the road from our schools, basically, they've got like a mass of like 20 guys they can have there in a couple minutes, which is pretty cool. So that's something cool that's like my little town does. Did you know there's sumo in Tennessee? This Nashville student is making a name for himself in the sumo wrestling. What? I should start watching more local news. I'll show you one of my local news. We used to have this thing. We had this guy named Tim Cable. And Tim Cable, he passed away. But he had a segment on our local news called Cable Country. What's up? Mostly peaceful redhead. How's it going? He had a segment called Cable Country where he would go out and interview some of the weirdest fucking people in our area and tell their story. You guys want to watch one of these? Oh man, what's a good one? That audio is not even coming through, is it? Is any of the audio?
Saw anything quite like the music Martha Culp can make.
I grew up in the country, really in the mountains down in North Alabama. And we had fiddlers conventions, and there was an old man who played the saw. It always looked interesting to me. But after I was a mature adult, we had a Methodist minister who played the saw, and he taught me how.
And now, nearly 50 years later, this almost octogenarian is still fiddling around with the same saw. She calls it the Cadillac of tuneful tools.
He has all these weird puns. The Cadillac of tuneful tools. You can't even hear it.
It's a distant...
Let's pick a different one because you can't even hear what she's doing. Happy Feet.
Parts of clear the floor for the dancing man.
Here's my little portable dance floor. I usually carry it with me, about everywhere I go.
Actually, the dancing man has the floor. From all over the Southeast to right in his own backyard, you'll find Bob Aldridge dancing.
I just like it that good. I can't get away from it.
He says he was born to dance.
I've been dancing all my life.
His whole life.
I was about 6 years old when my daddy, he played a lot of bluegrass music, so he put me up on the floor, and I've been dancing ever since.
And now he's danced his way into the hearts of every Avery Countian. They've come up with a little nickname for him.
Old Happy Feet.
And he's happy to cut a rug anytime.
And he's happy to cut a rug.
Took my wife out while we was going up the road, and there's a good musical song come on.
What?
First time I ever took my wife out while we was going up the road, and there's a good musical song come on, a good bluegrass song, and I just stopped in the middle of the road and got out and started dancing. So when I got through dancing,
there's one about, hold on, it's about rulers. Or maybe it's yardsticks. Here we go. Here's a good one, chat. Lock in. You're fixing to learn something about histories.
He goes to great lengths for his hobby. It was probably the rule rather than the exception when antique dealer T.K. McInturf started collecting old yardsticks.
Seems like being in the antique business, everybody liked to collect something. Housewife, that was her number one thing she used in the house, I guess. She always had a yardstick, if not to measure with, to beat the youngins. So
I know this guy's relatives and his son and stuff. If not to measure with, she'd beat the youngins. Tell me you love NASCAR without telling me.
So I just thought, you know, that's kind of interesting. Everybody's got yardsticks, and they're from here, there, everywhere. And I just started putting them back, one at a time, two at a time.
We had them all the time growing up. I cut them and made them into shit.
It became a hobby.
And the hobby became a collection, measuring well over 100 old yardsticks.
One thing that I started doing is I started looking for yardsticks from businesses that are no longer in business, especially local businesses.
Businesses like the old Southside Coal Company, who offered a double use for their yardstick.
They had a yardstick on one side. On the other side, you could dip it into your oil tank behind your house when everybody had heating oil. It showed how many gallons you had left.
Now, TK says one of the good things about inching along in this hobby is that the yardstick not only measures length.
He owned kind of like a local, like antique and junk store or whatever you want to call it.
It also measures memories.
It's just something that was I guess what you would call a household staple at one time. You know, everybody's went to the tape measure, the metal tape measure now, and a yardstick, I guess they're kind of a thing of the past. You don't see them like you used to at one time. A lot of people like to look at them and they say, oh, I remember when this place is open, you know, we done this, we done that. We used to go there when we were kids. And you know, there's a lot of history behind it, a lot of fun, a lot of stories.
And now TK is hoping to keep telling stories about a hobby that he thinks really measures up.
If you want to
really measures up,
collect something like this, you never have any problem finding something.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
The measure of this collector, because he got the whole 9 yards. In Cable Country, Tim Cable, Eyewitness News 11, Unicoi.
Unicoi. Here's a Barney Fife impersonator. There's a bunch of good ones. This used to be on, like, when we had, like, I wouldn't say we had family dinner, because a lot of times we ate at different times, but I would always come out, and when my dad was eating, I would hang out, and we'd watch TV together. Like, my mom would wait on him to eat, and they would eat together, and then I would hang out at the TV, and we had this, I swear to God, it was probably a 7 or 9 inch TV screen. It was this big of a TV screen, but the motherfucking box it was in was, like, this long, because it had, like, a radio and a fucking record player and all kinds of other shit with it. But it was this fucking big TV screen, black and white, and the lines constantly were going up through it like you need to address the tracking. And we'd sit there and watch WJHL, and then after that, Friends would come on, and then Wheel of Fortune, then Jeopardy, or Jeopardy, then Wheel of Fortune. But we'd sit there and watch that at the kitchen table.
When it comes to a dead ringer impersonation of Mayberry Deputy Barney Fife, David Browning has it nipped in the bud.
I've been performing for the better part of 30 years. A lot of different characters. Theater Bristol and VI College many years ago. And
you guys remember Andy Griffith or no?
Aware of how many other people were fans of the show. And I thought, well, this will be a good vehicle for that.
And that vehicle has taken off. It's life in...
Just call the man. Aunt B, just call the man.
The Fife Fast Lane.
It's a real jungle out here, ain't it?
He pulls over the damn, there's, Andy pulls over the Briscoe Darling, stops him because they have a decorative, like historical marker horse trough. And he's dipping his hat into this horse trough and filling up his truck because his truck keeps overheating. And he says, well, you can't use that. That's a decorative horse trough that represents such and such from historical blah, blah, blah. And the guy looks both ways and goes, well, I guess if I see any horses coming, I'll just make way. And then goes back to filling his hat again. It was funny.
You never know when another beast is going to come down out of the hills.
Browning makes 15 to 20 appearances per month as the Mayberry Deputy. at venues ranging from festivals to sporting events to civic clubs, spreading a little down-home humor.
I called it corny for a long time, and a fella down in Kingsport stopped me one day, and he said, don't call it corny. He said, just call it clean humor. He said, that's what I like. And that's what it is. It's not intended to offend anyone, and it's intended to reflect a positive image of the Andy Griffith Show.
Now, whether he's making a big arrest...
Hold it! Don't you know that we have laws in this here town about jaywalking, honey? We can't have that. You're getting rid up right now. You are getting rid up. I'm sorry.
Andy Griffith is a pretty funny show. What else we got? Tim Cable goes trick-or-treating.
Hey, Tim Cable from Channel 11. We're trick-or-treating a day early today. Trick-or-treat. Trick-or-treat. A little early trick-or-treat. You have anything for me?
Did you put a cookie?
We're trick-or-treating today.
Here. Have a file. Have a file and take it with you. Tim, that is an awful looking costume. Is that what you're really gonna wear?
That was another host, another news host. I can't remember that guy's name.
You got anything for us?
Can't stick a Metro down in there, can we?
Yeah, how about a bright, shiny new car?
Stick one in there. Let's see if we can stick that in there. About fit, won't it?
Geo Metros.
Right size. Trick or treat.
There you go.
So this is like a gag he played at the Bristol Broadcasting or whatever their home country was. Their home station was. The hanging elephant. Oh no. Oh no.
For Danny Keplinger, the antique business never gets old. So he and his wife opened up a unique antique mall in Irwin.
She's a third-generation junk dealer, and I sold my first antique to Charlie Keach in Jonesboro when I was 12. So it's kind of been a passion for both of us for a long time. Junk, antiques, it's all a matter of perspective, I think.
It's all the same. With old man Schwump. Yeah, that's right.
However you don't have.
But Danny sure has the trader spirit.
Old man Schwump.
Cranks out antiques by renting out 10 by 10 spaces here to 20...
Standing in the stag line.
The person who rents the space from us comes in, displays, prices, and we sell it for them. We have a wonderful selection of Blue Ridge pottery, which was made here in Irwin. Pottery closed in 1957. And any railroad items that you might be looking for, we've got good furniture, glassware, occasionally some good jewelry. We try to keep a good selection of...
That's a pretty normal one, though. This guy alters action figures in his basement.
Bill Turbyfield just can't seem to put his toys away. He's an aspiring toy maker who does quite a number on figures.
I go out and buy toy figures like Star Wars, G.I. Joe type figures, and I construct them into something totally different.
And now he's created a bunch of different figures to crow about.
I have a Space Ghost figure. It was animated Batman. I just cut the ears off, the blades on the gauntlet, painted him white, drew the Space Ghost symbol on his chest, and it's
you got
a
it.
different figure.
It's totally different.
Hey, Bill puts a lot of himself in his work. Check out one of his most original creations.
What I did, I took a Superboy figure and altered it and put a hat, Atlanta Braves hat on him. He has a black leather jacket. I painted a mustache on him and a beard and put real rim.
He made one of himself.
And it just, after doing it, it just kind of looked like me. They might come out with a comic book figure of me, you know, or just a line of comic.
I bet so.
Boy, so who knows?
You just wait.
But until the day Billy Boy fights crime on a larger scale, he'll be content to be like...
Holy shit. Remind me after this to tell you about Dr. Disrespect.
A creative Clark Kent and have a super time doing it.
It's doing something that I like to collect is figures and, just something totally different. And
I got to go. It's 2 a.m. too.
Fun. I want to try to keep...
All right. Dr. Disrespect comes out and says that he was actually trolling the media with his post that he admitted that he had inappropriate conversations with a minor. That's why he originally included the word minor, then edited it out, and then put the word back in. because she was technically, he claims, of the legal age of consent in her state, and he was trolling the media to make them write that she was a minor, even though they didn't check to see if she was a minor after he admitted to having inappropriate conversations with minors. Like, it's so fucking crazy. So crazy, his story. We'll have to cover it on a different one. Cabins for Kids, clay sculptor Tim Osborne. Is there any more funny ones? Earl plays the musical Goblets. Creative Cole. We'll try this one. We'll get out of here. We'll have to cover it on a different show. It's too long. It's like a 20-minute response.
Busy man with a lot of irons in the fire, but he's really fired up over his latest hobby. He digs coal art and nail figurines.
I thought it was kind of a novel idea. I never had seen any of it done.
You see, Jim's kind of like Colonel Sanders. He's got a secret ingredient. He's not going to tell you what it is, though. But he takes that secret bonding agent, he mixes it with the coal, and that's...
By the way, this was the height of masculine sexuality back at this time.
He gets the lump sum.
I take a chunk of coal,
the lump sum,
a latex mold, and then I pulverize the coal into a powder and mix it, and then pour it in the mold and let it
with
go.
epoxy.
So it's kind of time consuming, and all it does is really bonds the coal together.
It's just clear epoxy.
When it sets up, Jim can sculpt a black gold mine of art. Now, sometimes he accompanies the coal with the nail figurines.
When I start to make one, I put the torch in the vise and light it up, and the flyers and the gloves, and I'd say from start to finish on one, I could probably make one in an hour or two if I really tried. But you have to be careful; you get burned pretty easy.
But Jim really burns it up with a never-ending number of...
You get burned pretty easy. You gotta be careful, Jim. Canjo, Thompson Brothers Band, Magician, Paul Rupert's paintings, Mountain City Motorplex, wood painting, Bristol songwriter sees success, Johnson County Ostrich Ranch, The Pumpkin King, reporter goes bungee jumping, vast golf ball collection, juggling daredevil, Old Dog's New Tricks, The One-Man Band, The Bagpiper, Henry the Stunt Pilot, Prospector's Pan for Gold, Bottle-Fed Koi Fish raised in Jonesboro, The Crumley House. The Crumley House helps people with brain disorders. It's different things wrong with their brain. Smoking Apples with Sulfur. Central Elementary learns to sing Sister Act songs. Debbie's Dollhouse. The Crumley House again, the Bob Lewis Band, Johnson City Can Collection, the Bentleyville Railroad, the Slingshot Marksman, look out, Noah's Ark replica, some old man built, father and son restore a Dodge truck, the Stock Care Cafe, microphones from across the decade, that'd be cool, the Rabbit Ridge Pea Pickers, trout raised at Elk Park Fish Farm, thousands of golf balls in collection, Bluegrass, Jordan Crossing, Quilter instructs others in craft. Dirty Dancing. Oh, Dirty Dancing was filmed here locally. Did you guys know that? Probably not. R. Jonesboro is the, there's the other guy that he was going trick-or-treating at. I can't remember the guy's name. I remember him saying when I was young. R. Jonesboro is the oldest state in Tennessee, and both Andrew Jackson and Andrew Johnson lived there at one time. Something like that. It's the oldest state in Tennessee for sure. Or the oldest town. I don't know why I keep saying state. The oldest town in the state of Tennessee. And there's a couple more things. But there you go. Same day Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis. Ernest McKinney was elected as alderman in Jonesboro. McKinney was the first African-American to be elected to the board of mayor and alderman. That's another history thing about it, I guess. They also allowed Jews to set up. It seems like they were a pretty welcoming town for back in the day. Anyways, here we go.
With Cable Country, and tonight you begin a special. two-part series on the 20th anniversary of the filming of the movie Dirty Dancing.
Right, Bob. Now, in these two segments, Joe Tennis from the Bristol Herald Courier and I visit the two places where the movie was filmed 20 years later. Part 2 will be Monday night at Mountain Lake, Virginia. Tonight, Part 1, a journey to Lake Lure, North Carolina.
So it's actually North Carolina, but it's just like across the mountain, right? Probably closer to Asheville than it is here. So.
It lures a lot of folks to Lake Lure.
The movie Dirty Dancing.
And they're fascinated with it. The picturesque North Carolina town has taken on an identity as the place where Dirty Dancing was filmed 20 years ago.
The famous scene where he like picks her up out of the water or whatever was in this lake, I think.
It's the #1 question visitors have.
Where can we go to visit the site of Dirty Dancing?
Every day. Somebody says, okay, so where was Dirty Dancing filmed?
So that's every day still?
Still.
Oh, probably every other person that comes around.
All ages ask about it. Young kids, older people, everyone wants to know where Dirty.
One of my friends' grandmothers that owned the local school of dance. It's called Range School of Dance. It was like a dance program or whatever. She was in it. She was an extra in it. Oh, he goes yard selling. Liam is like a 90-year-old man stuck in a 13-year-old's body. He loves going to yard sales. It's like, we'll be driving home for school, and he's like, did you see that sign for the yard sale? I'm like, yes, it's a fucking Tuesday. It was this weekend. We missed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to play.
I'm going to go hit the yard sales. A little pointer roundup. Pointer roundup. Pointer roundup. Can't beat it. Hey, I think this shirt's going to do it. Because,
you guys have yard sales like where you live. It's not like a southern thing, right?
Sharp dressed man. Huh? What things?
I found this reindeer.
Like they have them everywhere?
That seems ridiculous.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It's only $2.
Hey, look at this. The Chicago Bears glass. Now, there's something you don't find every day. This is 10 cents, right? I scraped up 8 cents.
So you're just making fun of them? You don't see this every day, do you? Yeah, kind of.
Well, Tim, we found a book, 4,000 Names for Your New Baby, but if you look in here, they've got Darren in here, but it's spelled wrong. Well, Tim, do you think we can use these bicycles to point with?
I don't know, Darren. Do they even work?
This must have been a slow content day.
This bike was worth twice what I paid for it. Oh boy, we found another one.
We got a phone on sale here, but for the life of me, I'm telling you, I can't figure out how this thing works.
Oh, because he's young.
Choose from. I just can't decide.
Well, Tim, it's like Forrest Gump says. These look like comfortable shoes. I've worn lots of shoes. These shoes are $2, huh?
This must have been a really slow news day. Jesus Christ. The giraffe lady? Rome Mountain Christmas tree. Dude, I worked at a Christmas tree farm for 2 seasons. You talk about hating a fucking job. Come home sticky and shit. It was bad. I wanted a good one. Some of them were really funny. He passed away a couple years ago. I think he may have had cancer or something. He had a lot of puns. Oh, maybe in ICU battling COVID-19. Maybe he was immunodeficient from cancer and then had COVID-19. 5 llamas walk around town. That sounds like a start to a joke. Frozen in Time. Art of the Accomplished Artist. Paul Diggs tractor mower contraption. Oh, here we go. A contraption has got to be for me. Shit's at the curb, come get it. My parents always used to do yard sales, and they would do it like Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday, they would call into the radio station where you advertise yard sales here locally. It was called Tradio. Tradio on the radio. They would call in on Sunday. They would just, the rest of it's free. Somebody can pick it up.
Sure is a lot shorter thanks to his. Maybe the grass is greener on the other side of Paul Diggs' farm. It sure is a lot shorter thanks to his unique mower invention.
It became
the fuck was that?
With Weed Eater that I had to come up with a solution.
So he started with his old International tractor and added junk parts like an old Volkswagen brake drum, pieces of steel, and a pump.
And I just
That's pretty cool.
Together, and it worked the way it works. It's
this mower he sends down the hill.
But it operates good. It works good.
He was later killed by this contraption.
Mower, and then his invention can really cut it.
It's hydraulic. I mounted a pump on the back of the tractor, the PTO, that operates a hydraulic motor up here that turns the drum. that there's cable on the drum that lets the mower go up and down the bank. It's a two-way job.
He works all the controls right from the seat.
Gravity, of course, takes it.
Pretty cool invention.
And the hydraulic pulls it back up the hill.
His clipping contraption really cuts the workload.
9/10 over a weed eater. It's just basically no work involved.
Now, friends, neighbors, and family have asked Paul why he doesn't go after his cut of fame and fortune with this invention. But Paul says that's not what he's steering for.
Of course, everybody's quite enthused. They want to know why I don't patent it. Well, I don't know that something like this would be patentable. I don't do it for fame or fortune. I do it to save work, because I am a lazy rascal in most cases.
But there's nothing lazy about being on the cutting edge of creativity.
Anytime anyone achieves anything,
pretty good.
It gives them satisfaction.
I like it.
I've been a machinist and a mechanic all my life and enjoy it very much. I'm 74 years old now, and I think I do pretty good for all considerations.
Well, that's for sure, because with this invention, Paul can be prepared to go over the hill. In Cable Country, Tim Cable, Eyewitness News 11, in the Buntontown section of Carter County.
Not too bad. Not too shabby. That's a pretty good invention. Seniors invite citizens to prom. Haley the human. Oh, no. It's just a girl who rolls around on the ground. Sorry, I got to go.
Everyone who knows.
It's bringing me back to my childhood.
She has no backbone at all, but she doesn't get all bent out of shape over it.
Look at that fupa.
Again, maybe she does.
I've been dancing since I was 18 months old.
She doesn't get all bent out of shape about it. Well, maybe she does.
And so I've been doing a back bend since I was 2, and it just sort of added on from there.
She got
Imagine making your local news because you can do a back bend.
Flexible, she added on a trick that's become one of her trademarks. Up goes the hair, and Haley's a human bowling ball.
Well, no shit. I could run over there and kick them, too.
Does she pin down a strike with every roll?
Got it.
If I don't get a strike, then sometimes...
I thought they was going to take her to an alley or have, like, giant pins or something. She's just out in her yard. I could blow those over.
Got a spare.
I could use that man's weed eater thing to knock that motherfuckers over.
I'll have to go back and do it all again.
Her striking stunt was right up the alley of David Letterman, so she bowled him over on The Late Show.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I think it might have helped that I was the only girl out there. I've noticed on his show he usually takes favorites to the girls. All I can say is that I hope to see him again. I'm pursuing my field of acting, on an acting career, and that I hope for one day to maybe be like Helen Hunt and go back and sit in the chair and talk to him face to face instead of just having a few seconds to talk to him.
Now, as you folks know, I always bend over backwards to do these Cable Country stories, but I don't know about this. Just to show you, just to prove it though, Haley says she can teach me how to do a back bend. What do you think?
Okay, this is all you have to do. You go back, you raise your arms.
I guess I'm not flexible enough. Is there a doctor in the house?
Maybe not.
If you thought that was a back
Oh, that seemed real.
Yes,
Totally not
she
stays.
is actually kicking the top of her own head. Kids, don't try these push-ups at home. And a trick she calls the spider runs circles around the rest.
It's one where I sit on my head and my feet go around my body while my head is sitting still. It's so weird, and nobody can really do it.
So what's the big kick she gets out of these acrobatic accomplishments?
Doing something that nobody else can do.
So while chiropractors knock on her back door and promoters flip over her service.
What? Well, who's knocking on her back door? Tell Mariah I'm a chiropractor. The doctor's in the office.
She gets out of these acrobatic accomplishments.
Doing something that nobody else can do.
So while chiropractors...
Why would he say back door? Why would he say back door, dude? Why wouldn't he just say, while chiropractors are knocking down our front door, like to get to? Why would he say back door?
It's so weird, and nobody can really do it.
So what's the big kick she gets out of these acrobatic accomplishments?
Doing something that nobody else can do.
So while chiropractors knock on her back door...
You won't feel a thing. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
Flip over her services, Haley continues to shape her future. Couldn't you just see her as an exercise instructor?
Okay, and bend this way and that way. Be an aerobics instructor, make everybody groan. Like, oh no, we can't do that.
But Haley should be in shape to get a grip on any opportunity that heads her way. You see, you can really bend her, but you can't break her. In Cable Country, Tim Cable, Eyewitness News 11, Boone's Creek.
Especially if you're knocking on her back door, she can turn around and watch you, dude. That was... What the fuck was that? Wow. That was fucking intense, dude. How old is that WJHL? I don't even remember that. It's older than me, for sure. God, so much of the old news and the different people. Dude. I don't know how to say this without sounding like bigoted in some way. But there is a larger, I personally believe that there is a larger percentage of meteorologists that are homosexual than the percentage of general population that are homosexual. So we had this one meteorologist who the big rumor, like I remember this in school, everybody talked about it, was this guy liked to shove a gerbil up his ass. Now, I have no idea where this rumor came from, who started it, but my dad knew about it. Everybody at my school fucking knew about it, and we would literally call him Gerbil Jammin' such and such, okay? That was his nickname for watching the news. Anyways, he leaves, and we get a new meteorologist, and this new meteorologist is like overtly like kind of out there. Like he's got all the mannerisms you would expect, right? If you were going for flamboyant, like if you were typecasting flamboyant homosexual. So one day he's not at work in the morning, and we always used to see him before we go to school, and then you would see him at 5 o'clock. He did both of them. And he wasn't at work one morning, and no one said anything. And then that evening, they asked for people to keep him in your thoughts and prayers because he was in the hospital. Okay. Then several days later, a story comes out that the guy that he was living with and had broke up with and they had separated showed back up at his house one night with a crossbow and shot him in the ass. And that was on the local news. That happened in like end of December, early January. And then in February, they were sitting around the news station and they were all talking about Valentine's Day. And they're like, oh, yeah, we have to, time to find that true love. And like the female host is like, yeah, I hope to go here and such be my Valentine. And the male host says, yeah, I'm taking my wife out to dinner. And they're like, they asked this guy live on TV. They said, what about you? Do you hope to get struck by Cupid's arrow? And by this point, he's just done. He's just done. He's like, no, Mark, I don't. And I think you know how that ended up in the past. And that was the end of the whole fucking segment. That was the end of the news segment. Just over. It just cut off. And we talked about that for like 5 fucking years in my little ass town. About how his homosexual boyfriend shot him with a crossbow. And then they just blatantly were like, ha, you got shot with a bow? Jesus Christ. I miss the good old days. Make America great again. Right? That's what I'm screaming. All right, Bob Lewis. That's that guy's name that I couldn't think of. He held his picture up and said, I'm trick-or-treating. Bob Lewis. Bob Lewis. There you go. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. It's way, 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 way past time for me to quit. But that's a little news from my neck of the woods. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being here. Thank you for the donation we got tonight. Please consider supporting the show. That's how we pay the bills. Rents actually do. So if you want to support the show, go to coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. You can use any of those links to make a contribution. Greatly appreciated. I'm still trying to get a hold of Destiny, so hopefully we can talk about the Phil thing maybe. But yeah, we'll see how that works out. Consider supporting the show at coldbeer.fund, and thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you about the next one. Let me see about. I'll try to be legit on earlier tomorrow. Like I was here early as fuck today, and then the shooting thing happened. I've been talking to my sister right up till I went live. So thank you guys for joining us. I don't see any updates on the shooting. Well, I'm gonna say I don't see any updates. Maybe I should check first. She's cuckoo. Nope. Let me make sure before I sign off. But then I'll play the outro music. Manhunt underway. Authorities search shooter along I-75, Southeastern Corridor. It doesn't look like he's been arrested. So if you live in that area, stay safe. And thank you guys for joining us. Go to coldbeer.fun, support the show, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. This is my mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me a... Oh, my God. Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started...
Have a good night, guys.
Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.